Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, it's just announced the Yankees dropping even more dead weight. Yankees removing Marcus Stroman from the active roster. Obviously, this makes spots up for not only for the new Yankee, came there via the trade there, but of course we have Luis Gil going to pitch the Sunday game against Miami. And well, it's either Schlittler, Warren, or Marcus Stroman. You take the three of them. Obviously, Stroman at that point is the odd man out, and obviously he looks like he's not going to take a bullpen role, as we covered during spring training there. So nothing else to really do with the guy. He's making some money. He's making some decent coin. But look, for the last 2 months of the season, if we really can't add much to you, where since he's come back from his injury, I guess he hasn't been atrocious totally. But again, you rather have the upside of someone like Cam Schlittler, Luis Gil, and of course Will Warren, even though Warren's been struggling a little bit as well as lately there. But of course, Stroman in that case is going to be the odd man out. So take a quick look at that before we get started. Seemingly a lot of moves going on all the time there, so we want to get instant reactions. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees podcast, as well as the YouTube version of the show. Go to YouTube, subscribe to Section 420 Talkin Yankees. So, kind of stunning news there. Stroman coming off the knee injury. I say overall he's been okay. Probably of all the stars, maybe the only one that was really terrible was against the Phillies. But this is what we see is, for the most part, he's been a 5-inning pitcher since coming back, nibbling a little bit. He hasn't been atrocious, but it hasn't been great, and I don't think really good enough to make a case why he should stay in this rotation. Most recently pitched the final game against Tampa. Went 5 innings, but also gave up 4 runs. But luckily the Yankee offense kicked in there, mainly with Ben Rice with a 3-run home run, as well as an absolute bomb by Giancarlo Stanton into the left field bleachers, which you don't see almost at all. You've seen a couple of shots going to the right field bleachers, but you don't see too many right-handers sending a ball into the left field bleachers there. But nevertheless, Stroman, the beneficiary of some Yankee offense there. But other than that, if it was a tighter ball game, obviously you probably would have either gotten the no decision or the loss there. So I guess maybe Cashman gets the last laugh. Ultimately, going back to him, the Yankees were considering Stroman a couple of years ago, and his whole argument was like, well, why would I want to trade for a guy who I wouldn't even consider starting in a playoff game? Again, Stroman had some words with that, going back to last offseason when he did sign a 2-year deal with the Yankees. It seemed like they mended fences there, but ultimately I guess Cashman getting the last laugh, removing Stroman from the roster. And so we'll see what happens to Stroman there if he maybe picks up another job somewhere else, which is possible. Again, he's not totally done. He could give 8 innings for a team there, but there's nothing about his stuff that really wows you to want to keep him here. Obviously, you see Cam Schlittler's up here right now. The young guy threw the 3 hardest fastballs clocked by a Yankee pitcher so far this season there. And again, this has the upside as a young guy there. For the most part, it's been decent, but you'd rather see him get those starts over someone like Stroman, which you kind of know what he already is. And Will Warren, I know, again, he hasn't exactly been gangbusters himself, but he's a young guy, he still has the good stuff, could throw 98, pitched decent enough in the last game against Tampa there. Just, really wasn't, the offense really kicking until later in the game when they were able to get to Tampa's bullpen. But at least, he's a young guy, he has some upside there, so you don't want to give up on him too soon there. So, it just makes sense for him. And, of course, Luis Gil, really established as starter for the Yankees, was the American League Rookie of the Year last year for the Yankees. So, he gets that spot as well. And, of course, the other 2 spots taken by both Max Fried and Carlos Rodon, who you're just paying a ton of money to. So, really no room for Stroman. This all kind of makes sense there. So, overall, you want to look at Stroman's record for the season. Again, he got off to a bad start, had the knee injury. But again, able to recoup himself with a 3-2 record with an ERA of 6.28. Nothing really to be happy about, but really no room for him anymore. And I just like what the Yankees are doing in Cashman, and for the most part, just kind of ripping off all the, as I said before, the gnarly Band-Aids. Did it with DJ LeMahieu, just had to face reality. They gave him enough playing time. Hey, what do you got? What do you got left there? And clearly didn't have any much left there, just with 2 home runs and hardly any doubles and providing no pop there. And then you saw some limitations in the field there at second base, and then him actually being hesitant to even play third base, saying it would be too much of a physical toll on his body that's been breaking down. And then more recently, ripping off the Peraza Band-Aid. Now, Stroman was probably another piece of what you call, unfortunately, dead weight. And I hate to be cold to say that, but basically, the guy was more or less dead weight. And the only thing is you're going to have to eat the rest of the $18 million has owed to him this season. But, got 2 months left and whatever. Maybe that was come out to maybe about like $4 million. Again, I know it's money, but also for the New York Yankees, I don't think it's, going to really cash strap them there. And sometimes you're just better off cutting bait with him, pay him, and just get rid of him versus keep trotting him out there where he's only going to be able to give you 5 innings, if that, and then you kind of hope your offense kicks in to give him some support. But other than that, doesn't add too much at this point in his career. Only 34 years old, so, maybe by either whether it's this season or during this offseason, I'm sure he'll get a contract somewhere. I don't think he's getting like the $18 million he's getting this season, but he'll definitely probably pop up somewhere because, again, he's still serviceable. He's just, a mid-level 4th starter maybe at best. So I guess we have some better options with the Yankees coming up, down the pike, especially Louis Heel coming back. Pretty much that's probably all she wrote there with Stroman. So Stroman's career with the Yankees, barely 2 years. Some promise in his first year. Obviously had the good first half, which was always he was known for, but then he kind of struggled a little bit in the second half. Was a complete non-factor as all in the postseason run. This season, obviously had some struggles in spring training. Was never really, get off on the right foot there. And early on in April, had to be taken out of the rotation due to a knee injury. Finally comes back, gives you a handful of starts, and admirable as best he could there. But nothing about him that made you want to keep him up here. So it's not really a trade, but just by getting him off the roster, it improves the roster, if that could be said. So kudos to Marcus Stroman. Whatever, I guess you tried your best, but unfortunately, no longer with the Yankees, and I'll just have to trudge on without him. I'm sure he'll get a job somewhere else again. He's a decent arm there, so I'm sure he'll find work anyway, and he's a millionaire, so I'm sure he'll live. Catch you next time.